Idlib province is the largest al-Qaeda safe haven since 9/11, tied directly to Ayman al-Zawahiri. This is a huge problem. It's been a problem for some time.
This is not me saying it. It is not from a Russian propaganda channel. You heard it from the horse's mouth. From Brett McGurk, Joe Biden's current National Security Council coordination for the Middle East and North Africa. McGurk said it in 2017, and since then the situation in the city of Idlib got worse, and Al-Qaeda terrorists got emboldened thanks to the flow of lethal and non-lethal support and the political and media cover for their activities in Syria. On Thursday, these terrorists sent a deadly drone full of explosives from southern Idlib to the city of Homs and targeted a graduation ceremony for the military academy. The criminal minds behind the attack waited for the ceremony to be over, and they only committed the heinous crime when the families were united with the cadets to take photos, which ended up in a massacre that killed over 81 people, including 31 women and 5 children. Over 300 people were injured. Mothers and fathers went to the graduation of their sons, and none of them returned home. Little angels were murdered in cold blood. Brothers and sisters will never see each other again. Can you imagine if a military college in any democratic country was attacked by an explosive drone and over 80 people, both civilians and cadets, were killed? The democratic governments in these countries would have sent the army, special forces, tanks, helicopters and fighter jets, and requested military support from the neighboring countries. But Syrians are not allowed to do the same, because Al-Qaeda and its offshoots are the assets of the United States. Washington uses these terrorists to advance its geopolitical goals in Syria, just like it uses the Nazis in Ukraine to advance its strategic goals against Russia. The people in the global south and in the so-called third world countries know that as long as the psychopaths in Washington have a strong grip over the world, their suffering and bleeding will continue indefinitely. Therefore, they are seeking historic liberation and looking forward to a multipolar world that is based on cooperation and not on subjugation, terrorism, and spilling their blood, so that some bloodthirsty maniac can make financial profits at the expense of innocent souls.
I'd like to say something too about you brought it up with a little bit about the history of, or let's say who's in charge of Idlib, which is interesting. I find none of these people really want to delve into or talk about. But of course, Idlib was taken over by these, multiple shades of different Al-Qaeda and ISIS groups in 2015, directly aided by the CIA, by the United States and its allies. And this program was, of course, run out of southern Turkey. And I find it deeply ironic and tragic right now that there's so much focus on, aid and getting across these borders, when for years the West didn't give a single thought as it shipped hundreds of millions of dollars of weapons, not aid, weapons across these borders. And so it's interesting, the sudden politicization and sort of concern for, discussion of sovereignty. It's just kind of fascinating when for years no one cared. Instead, they just shipped, killing machines into these places, and that's a real kind of twisted, ironic tragedy as well.
الله يرحمك يا خي، الله يرحمك يا علي، الله يرحمه ويرحم شهداء سوريا.
4 ساعات وانا ادور عليها، ورحت على المشفى العسكري، دورت بين الجثث والضحايا. الله يرحمها لآية. يا بصي العمل.
بين قيادة يا أحمد.
هذا عرسك يا عرسي يا الله 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 ما تنيت فيك يا أوس يا الله ما تنيت فيك يا أمي يا أمي يا أمي يا الله يا الله يا الله يا أمي
إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. الله يرحمك يا خي، الله يرحمك يا علي، الله يرحمه ويرحم شهداء سوريا، الله يرحم كل شي مات بالحربية ويشفي الجرحى ويصبر بقلوب أهاليهم وقلبنا. الله يرحمك يا أخي يا علي.
عينت على جهة المنصة واللي قذيفتين نزلوا قدام المنصة وصاروا يطلعونا لبرا. قلت لهم بدي ارجع اشوف لبي وينه. 4 ساعات وانا ادور عليها ورحت على المشفى العسكري، دورت بين الجثث والضحايا، اخر شيء لاقوا بالبرا. الحمد لله على كل شيء.
اتمنى يوصل صوتنا حج الدم دفعناه اللي دفعناه. والله 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 واحد رايح ليفرح، ما رايح ليقاتل، رايح ليفرح ليحمي هالوطن، ودفعنا هالدم. ونقول الله يرحم الشهداء ومنطالب القيادة برد السريع والساحق، لأنه دمنا حجي.
وعاهد الوطن وقائد الوطن السيد الرئيس الفريق بشار الأسد أن نحفظ الأمانة بالذود عنها حتى آخر قطرة من دمائنا. رحم الله شهداءنا الأبطال وتفضلوا بقبول الوسام.